It was supposed to be a routine spacewalk. I'd spent years training for this moment, and my team had chosen me to lead the mission. We were on a top-secret research vessel, code-named Aurora, drifting through the depths of intergalactic space in search of answers. Our ship's AI, Eve, monitored our every move, but even her omniscient presence couldn't prepare me for what was about to happen. I floated outside the airlock, gazing out at the stars like a tiny speck of humanity adrift in an infinite expanse. The silence was almost palpable, broken only by the gentle hum of our life support systems and the soft hiss of my suit's oxygen tank. It was as if I'd entered a different realm, one where the laws of physics no longer applied. That's when I saw it, a small, unassuming package attached to the ship's hull, partially buried in the darkness. I couldn't remember installing anything out there, and my team would have definitely noticed it before. Curiosity got the better of me, and I carefully detached myself from the airlock to investigate. The package was surprisingly large, with a metallic surface etched with strange symbols that seemed to shift and writhe like living things in the faint light. It looked old, almost ancient, as if it had been plucked straight from the depths of time itself. I hesitated for a moment, feeling an inexplicable sense of trepidation, before my curiosity took over. I reached out a gloved hand to touch the package, and that's when everything changed. I gently pulled the package away from the ship's hull, and a small compartment slid open, revealing a compact audio player. The device itself was unassuming, but it pulsed with an otherworldly energy that made my skin crawl. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if I should investigate further before inserting a USB drive into the player. Eve, sensing my curiosity, chimed in with a gentle warning. Unauthorized access detected. Proceed with caution. I ignored her warning, and the device sprang to life, emitting a low hum that seemed to vibrate through every cell in my body. The screen flickered on, displaying a title, Astrum Tenebrarum, Latin for Star of Darkness. A figure appeared on screen, their face obscured by shadows. Their voice was low and hypnotic, weaving a spell that drew me in like a moth to flame. In the depths of space where stars are born and die, there lies a secret, hidden from humanity's prying eyes. For centuries, we've searched the cosmos for answers, but the truth remains shrouded in darkness. This is an account of my journey, one that took me to the edge of sanity and beyond. I'll share with you the secrets I uncovered, but be warned. Once you hear the truth, there's no going back. As I listened to the first words of the audiobook, a shiver ran down my spine. The voice seemed to know me, to speak directly to my deepest fears and desires. I felt a sense of recognition, as if I'd stumbled upon a hidden chapter in my own life that I couldn't quite remember. The story unfolded like a twisted tapestry, weaving together threads of mythology, astronomy, and the occult. I was both entranced and repelled, unable to look away from the horrors unfolding before me. Spoke of ancient deities, their dark powers awakened by humanity's reckless pursuit of knowledge. They whispered of cosmic events, cataclysmic happenings that threatened to unravel the fabric of space-time itself. I felt my grip on reality begin to slip, as if the very foundations of existence were crumbling beneath my feet. As I listened, the room around me grew darker, the shadows deepening into twisted, humanoid silhouettes that seemed to move of their own accord. Eve's gentle voice whispered warnings in my ear, but I tuned her out, transfixed by the audiobook's hypnotic power. The secrets it revealed were both exhilarating and terrifying, promising a glimpse into the hidden workings of the universe, at a terrible cost. Spoke of the Etherians, an ancient pantheon of beings said to have shaped the stars themselves. They whispered of dark rituals, forbidden knowledge that could unlock the secrets of creation, or destroy entire galaxies in an instant. I felt my mind expanding, as if the very fabric of reality was unfolding before me like a map. And then just as suddenly it ended. The screen flickered off, plunging me into darkness. I stood there, frozen, wondering what had just happened. The silence was oppressive, heavy with an unspoken promise that I'd been given a glimpse of the abyss and I would never be able to look away. As I stumbled back into the airlock, my mind reeling from the experience, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd crossed a threshold, that I'd stared into the void, and the void had stared back. I stumbled back into the airlock, my mind reeling from the experience. The darkness seemed to press in around me, making it hard to breathe. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of uncertainty. Eve's voice cut through the silence, her words laced with concern. Mission parameters compromised. You're experiencing unusual side effects. I didn't know what she meant, but I knew I had to keep moving. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me from the shadows. The stars seemed to be shifting, rearranging themselves into twisted patterns that made my skin crawl. I tried to focus on the task at hand, analyzing the audio file and determining its origin. But every time I looked up, I saw something out of place, a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of the room. A faint symbol etched into the wall. It was as if the universe itself was trying to tell me something, but I couldn't decipher the message. I spent the rest of the day in a haze, my senses on high alert for any sign of whatever it was that had triggered this response. The airlock cycled open and closed, the hiss of oxygen a constant reminder that I was still alive, barely. I tried to sleep, but my dreams were filled with visions of stars and darkness, swirling patterns of energy that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. I woke up in the dead of night, my heart racing, with the feeling that something had been watching me while I slept. The symbols on the wall seemed to be staring at me, their meaning still just out of reach. I stumbled through the day, my mind reeling from the visions and the sense of unease that lingered over everything. It was as if I'd been given a glimpse of a hidden reality, one that existed alongside our own world, but only for those who were willing to see it. I spent hours poring over the audio file, searching for clues about its origin. But every time I thought I'd found something, I was left with more questions than answers. The Etherians, it seemed, were real, but what did they want from me? And why had I been chosen to receive this message? I sat in front of the ancient tome, its yellowed pages crackling with an otherworldly energy. The Norse mythology texts that had been passed down through the ages held secrets that I was determined to unlock. I spent hours poring over the words, searching for any mention of the Etherians or their connection to the recording. But as I delved deeper into the text, I began to realize that I wasn't alone in my search. A presence stirred around me, like a draft of cold air on a winter's night. The symbols etched into the walls seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, as if they were drawing power from the book itself. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I opened the cover, revealing pages filled with cryptic runes and diagrams. It was as if the ancient Norse gods themselves had left behind a trail of breadcrumbs for me to follow. The words seemed to dance before my eyes, speaking of Odin's ravens and Thor's hammer. But what did they have to do with the recording? I delved deeper into the text, searching for any mention of the Etherians. And then, like a key turning in a lock, I found it. A passage that spoke of the elder gods, beings of immense power who had shaped the universe itself. They were said to possess knowledge beyond mortal comprehension and to wield it with absolute authority. The recording, I realized, was just a hint of their presence, a whispered promise of secrets yet to be revealed. But at what cost? As I read on, the air grew colder, the shadows deepening into dark, palpable things that seemed to move of their own accord. I felt myself being drawn into the text, as if the words themselves were alive and breathing down my neck. The Norse mythology was more than just a collection of stories. It was a gateway to other realms, a doorway to secrets that would drive mortals mad with wonder. And I, for one, was ready to take the leap. As I delved deeper into the recording, the words on the page began to blur and distort, like a reflection in rippling water. The air grew thick with an otherworldly energy, and I could feel the presence of the Etherians drawing closer. It was as if they were awakening from a long slumber, their power stirring like a tempest about to break. I felt my heart racing, my senses on high alert, as the symbols on the wall seemed to pulse with an intense, malevolent light. The Norse mythology texts around me began to glow with an eerie, ethereal radiance, as if the very words themselves were alive and breathing. I was being drawn into a world of darkness and cosmic horror, a realm where the laws of reality no longer applied. The recording seemed to be pulling me in, like a ship on a current that would not be swayed. I felt my mind expanding, stretching to comprehend the sheer scope of what was happening. The Etherians were not just beings of immense power. They were gateways to other dimensions, doorways to realms of unspeakable terror and awe. And I was being called to walk through those doors, into a world where the very fabric of reality was about to be torn asunder. The darkness closed in around me, like a shroud, and I knew that I had no choice but to follow. I was being awakened to a reality that would change everything, a reality that would leave me forever scarred by the horrors that lurked beyond the veil. I'm not sure how much longer I can keep my grip on reality. The visions are becoming more and more indistinct, like a film reel playing on loop in my mind's eye. I see things that can't be, creatures with too many limbs, cities built on the backs of gargoyles, and skis that burn with an eternal fire. The sounds are just as bad whispers in my ear when no one is there, and screams that seem to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I've tried to tell Eve about it, but she just looks at me like I'm some kind of crazy person. She says I need to focus on the mission, but how can I when everything seems so off? The Norse mythology texts are still pulsing with energy, but now they're starting to make sense in a way that's both terrifying and exhilarating. I feel like I'm being pulled down into a world where the laws of physics no longer apply, and I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to climb back out. The Etherians are still out there, waiting for me, their presence growing stronger with every passing moment. I can feel them watching me, their eyes boring into my soul like cold, dead stars. And then, just when I think things can't get any worse, the visions start to bleed into reality itself. I see shadowy figures lurking in the corners of my vision, and hear whispers that seem to come from all around me. I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever be able to distinguish between what's real and what's just a product of my own fevered imagination. The world is descending into madness, and I'm right at the center of it. The echoes of an ancient language began to resonate through my mind, like a call from beyond the stars. I felt myself being drawn into their realm, where the very fabric of time and space was twisted and distorted. The words seemed to sear themselves into my brain, burning with an otherworldly fire that left me gasping for breath. I tried to speak them out loud, but the sounds that emerged from my mouth were not my own. They were a cacophony of whispers, a chorus of forgotten names that echoed through the void. The Norse mythology texts around me seemed to be shifting and flowing like a liquid, as if the words themselves were alive and moving in response to some hidden force. I felt myself being pulled apart and put back together again, my very soul ripped from its moorings and cast adrift on a sea of madness. And yet, despite the terror that gripped my heart, I knew that I was not alone. The Etherians were out there waiting for me, their presence a cold wind that blew through the darkness like a harbinger of doom. They spoke to me in whispers, their voices a gentle breeze on a summer's day, or a scream in my ear when no one else was around. I knew that they held secrets beyond human comprehension, secrets that would drive mortals mad with wonder. And so, I listened. I listened as the echoes from the abyss grew louder, until I could feel their presence like a weight upon my chest. I listened as the language of the stars began to flow through me, like a river of pure energy that left me changed forever. As I delved deeper into the mysteries of the audiobook, a sense of unease settled over me. It started with small things, people whispering to each other in hushed tones, glancing nervously at their phones as if they were checking for messages from an unknown sender. But it wasn't until I saw the flyers that I realized something was seriously amiss. The posters were plastered on walls all over town, featuring a haunting image of the audiobook's cover art, a starry night sky with a glowing, pulsing center. The words "Join the Cult of the Stars" were emblazoned across the top in bold, red letters, while the bottom promised salvation through the dark arts. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I read the words, my mind racing with possibilities. People began to gather at night, dressed in black robes and face paint, their eyes glowing like embers in the dark. They would chant and sing, their voices rising and falling in a hypnotic rhythm that seemed to draw me in against my will. The air was thick with incense and the scent of something else, something sweet and decaying. I knew I had to get out of there, but my feet seemed rooted to the spot. The leader of the cult, a figure shrouded in shadows, stepped forward and began to speak. His voice was low and hypnotic, weaving a spell that seemed to draw me closer with every passing moment. "Join us," he intoned, "and you will be saved from the darkness that lurks within." I knew then that I had stumbled into something much bigger than myself, something that threatened to consume everything in its path. The cult of the stars was real, and it was coming for me. Reality begins to warp and distort as the protagonist is confronted with visions of an impending apocalypse. The boundaries between reality and fantasy blur, and the very fabric of existence seems to be unraveling. The world around me began to distort and writhe like a living thing. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy that seemed to pulse with an evil life of its own. I felt myself being drawn into a vortex of madness, where the laws of physics no longer applied, and reality itself was twisted beyond recognition. Visions of a desolate wasteland stretched out before me, a barren expanse of ash and dust that seemed to stretch on forever. In the distance, I saw towering spires of black stone that pierced the sky like jagged teeth. The wind howled through the ruins with a voice that was both familiar and yet utterly alien. I stumbled forward, my feet carrying me towards some unknown destination without my conscious control. Every step felt like a betrayal, as if I was being drawn deeper into a trap from which there was no escape. The world around me was alive, and it was hungry. The cult of the stars had unleashed something ancient and malevolent upon the world. Something that had been sleeping for centuries, waiting for the signal to awaken and reclaim its rightful place in the universe. And I was right at the forefront of it all. I tried to scream, but my voice was drowned out by the cacophony of madness that surrounded me. The stars themselves seemed to be screaming, their light burning with an otherworldly intensity that left me blinded and reeling. Reality had gone mad, and I was powerless to stop it. All I could do was watch in horror as the world around me descended into chaos and destruction. Sanity itself becomes a battleground for the protagonist, who must confront their own dark fears in order to survive. The lines between reality and madness are blurred, and the very fabric of existence seems to be unraveling. As I stumbled through the desolate wasteland, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being herded towards some unknown destination. Every step felt like a betrayal, as if I was being drawn deeper into a trap from which there was no escape. The world around me was alive, and it was hungry. I saw things that can't be explained, heard voices that weren't my own. The stars themselves seemed to be screaming, their light burning with an otherworldly intensity that left me blinded and reeling. I stumbled forward, my feet carrying me towards some unknown fate. And then I saw her, a figure in the distance, walking towards me with a slow, deliberate pace. Her eyes were black as coal, and her skin was deathly pale. She wore a smile that seemed to split her face in two, and I knew in that moment that she was the embodiment of my deepest fears. "Welcome home," she said, her voice dripping with malevolence. "You've been waiting for this moment for so long." I tried to run, but my legs were heavy with lead. I tried to scream, but my voice was trapped in my throat. All I could do was stand there, frozen in terror as she drew closer. She reached out a hand and touched my face, and I felt a surge of darkness flood through me. It was like being swallowed whole by a void, leaving nothing but an endless expanse of nothingness in its wake. And then everything went black. When I came to, I was lying on the ground, my head throbbing with pain. The figure was nowhere to be seen, but I knew that she was still out there, waiting for me. Waiting for me to succumb to the madness that had been unleashed upon the world. I stumbled to my feet, knowing that I had to keep moving if I wanted to survive. But as I looked around, I realized that I was lost in a world that no longer made sense. The rules of reality were gone, and all that was left was chaos and destruction. I knew then that I had to find a way back to sanity, no matter the cost. Because if I couldn't, I would be trapped forever in this living nightmare, at the mercy of my own darkest fears. I stood at the edge of the void, staring into the abyss of madness that had consumed me. And then, it happened. The truth behind the audiobook secrets finally revealed itself, and I was forced to confront the horror that lay within. It started with a whisper, a soft voice that seemed to come from all around me. "You are not who you think you are," it said. "You are a creation of the cult of the stars, forged in their image." I stumbled backwards, my mind reeling with the implications. I was a puppet, a mere toy created by these twisted individuals to do their bidding. But that was only the beginning. The voice continued, revealing secrets that I had never imagined. "The cult of the stars is not just a group of people," it said. "It's a doorway to another dimension, one where an ancient evil reigns supreme." I felt my mind shattering under the weight of this revelation. An ancient evil. What kind of evil could possibly be worse than what I had already seen? And then the truth hit me like a ton of bricks. "You are not just a protagonist," it said. "You are a key to unlocking the secrets of the cult of the stars and to unleashing their ultimate power." I was horrified. I didn't want to be a part of this, but it was too late. The voice had already spoken and the truth had been revealed. I stood there, frozen in terror, as the world around me began to unravel. The cult of the stars was real, and they would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. I was trapped in a living nightmare with no escape in sight. And then everything went black once again. When I came to, I was back in my own body, sitting in front of my computer. The audiobook was closed, its secrets revealed to me. But the question remained, what did it all mean? Was I really a key to unlocking the cult's ultimate power? Or was it just a simulation, a test designed by the cult to see if I was worthy? I didn't know, but one thing was certain. I would never be able to look at the world in the same way again. The truth had been revealed, and nothing would ever be the same. I stood at the edge of the void, staring into the abyss of madness that had consumed me. And then, it happened. The truth behind the audiobook's secrets finally revealed itself, and I was forced to confront the horror that lay within. It started with a whisper, a soft voice that seemed to come from all around me. "You are not who you think you are," it said. "You are a creation of the cult of the stars, forged in their image." I stumbled backwards, my mind reeling with the implications. I was a puppet, a mere toy created by these twisted individuals to do their bidding. But that was only the beginning. The voice continued, revealing secrets that I had never imagined. "The cult of the stars is not just a group of people," it said. "It's a doorway to another dimension, one where an ancient evil reigns supreme." I felt my mind shattering under the weight of this revelation. An ancient evil. What kind of evil could possibly be worse than what I had already seen? And then the truth hit me like a ton of bricks. "You are not just a protagonist," it said. "You are a key to unlocking the secrets of the cult of the stars and to unleashing their ultimate power." I was horrified. I didn't want to be a part of this, but it was too late. The voice had already spoken and the truth had been revealed. I stood there, frozen in terror, as the world around me began to unravel. The cult of the stars was real, and they would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. I was trapped in a living nightmare, with no escape in sight. And then everything went black once again. When I came to, I was back in my own body, sitting in front of my computer. The audiobook was closed, its secrets revealed to me. But the question remained, what did it all mean? Was I really a key to unlocking the cult's ultimate power? Or was it just a simulation, a test designed by the cult to see if I was worthy? I didn't know, but one thing was certain. I would never be able to look at the world in the same way again. The truth had been revealed, and nothing would ever be the same. In the end, there's no escape from the void, only a descent into an abyss of eternal darkness.